Welcome to the Guitar Department. I'm your host, Joe Alton. Today on the show, we've got a very special tone zone. We're going to be talking about the Log Jam Micro Log, and we've got special guest, Brittany Sword is here. It's going to be an awesome show. Make sure you stay tuned. Welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about the Log Jam Micro Log, to be exact. This is the miniature version of what is called the Log Jam, and it's really cool. Basically, it's just a small cavernous piece of wood with a piezo pickup in it. But when you stomp on it, now that sound is coming through my Fender Rumble 25 here, and I've chosen the Rumble 25 because I really wanted to have a bass amp. If you run this through an ordinary guitar amp, it's a piezo pickup, so it's like running an acoustic guitar through an electric guitar amp. It just doesn't quite have the guts that you want from it. A little bit too trebly, a little bit too twangy. And so with this, I've got the bass knob turned all the way up. Mid is about at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and the treble is most of the way down. And then when you stomp on it, it's just a nice, heavy bass drum sound. And then the trick is to try and play along with your own foot tapping. This takes me back to band, junior high. Or it's a really cool thing, especially if you're out there soloing, doing solo gigs. It adds a nice percussive element, and it's really small footprint. It does plug directly into the amp. It's passive, it's a piezo pickup, so there's no power source needed, but it does require its own amp, which is probably the only drawback I see to it, other than you gotta have some calf muscles, because it's gonna wear you out if you do a whole song this way. The Micro Log from Log Jam, pretty cool. Be sure to check it out. We are back, and I'm sitting here with Brittany Sword. Brittany, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I want to start by talking about that guitar.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful.
That inlay looks beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful instrument.
Yeah.
I got this from Pro Music Center in Clive.
That's a Schecter.
Yeah, it's a Schecter. And yeah, the inlay definitely caught my eye, but the thing that I really liked about this guitar was it has a coil tap.
Ooh.
So the humbuckers can split to be single coil. So when I'm doing my looping thing, I'm like, laying down kind of a rhythm guitar thing, and then I'll switch to the single coil and, lay into a solo or something with that. So,
right.
Yeah.
And so you perform mostly as a solo artist at this point?
Mostly, yeah.
And you do have a band, and you also perform as a duo, correct?
Right, yeah. So it's kind of, right now it's the same set. It's just adding drums and then bass as well when we're a trio.
Sure.
So yeah, it's kind of the same thing, but we're in talks. We're in talks of doing something kind of side project of sorts to go a little bit heavier, because I'm more singer-songwriter style, a little bit indie, a little bit alternative. But yeah, so trying to amp it up a little bit with the guitar stuff.
Nice, no pun intended.
Right, or so.
And so your band, who do you have playing drums for you?
So Daniel Thatcher's my drummer.
Daniel Thatcher.
Yep, and he's out of Oskaloosa. I'm from
Excellent.
Oskaloosa as well. So.
Excellent. I went to college with a bass player named Daniel Thatcher. Definitely not the same guy.
Probably not. He just graduated from college, so.
Oh, to be young again.
Right.
And you have on bass a new addition, Andrew Drake.
Yes.
Is playing with you.
Yes, he also builds guitars, which
does
is
build
pretty
guitars.
cool. So.
He and Nate Carlson, who's a friend of mine, build guitars together a lot in the same shop. He goes up there every Tuesday. He actually, Andrew, built this neck for my LA Sound. No, which is part of why I brought this today, is that it's a wonderful neck. There's no label on it. He tried to put the original label on it, but was worried that he would break it off of the original guitar, so he didn't put any sort of insignia on it. But this is an Andrew Drake neck that he built for me during the pandemic, and it is amazing.
Yeah, I've played a couple of his now.
Yeah,
they feel
great.
good.
They also just did the guitar build-off, the double cutaway build-off.
Yeah, I saw that you had him on your show for that. So.
Yeah, I didn't have him on my show. I reposted a lot of, the
was.
videos they were putting out. Nate was putting out documentation on it all left and right. But it was really cool. But all of those guitars are great. I think they're all sold now, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he turns them fast, I think.
Yeah. So you've got a full band, but you're still doing mostly solo work. You do a lot of looping. You have a drum machine that you play with, you've talked about. Do you also play keyboards, too?
I have in the past, and I'm thinking about adding some of that stuff in, but I'm like, how much gear do I want to haul, you know what I mean, to the venue? Because I'm like, it's just me for the most part, so it's a lot of back and forth trips, but it would be a really cool sound to have some more ambient kind of tones. Like I have a pedal that I can, the Hall of Fame 2, that I can press down and add a pad, which is nice here and there, but it would be nice to have more control over what notes are being played and all that kind of stuff.
And plus you can run the keyboard through the looper too.
Right, so right now I've got like the drum pad thing, I didn't bring it in today, but I can go in 2 ins on my looper station, and so those are both occupied, so I've got to figure out another way to like, do you add like a, you know, like a mixer pre-looper, you know, so I can add like 20 instruments, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's never ending at that point,
right?
And you end up looking sort of like a modern day busker, where they'd have like the drums on their back and the harmonica and the guitar and the bells on their feet, except it's all electronic instruments surrounding you.
Yep. I played with a guy like that.
Yeah, it's kind of you see it every once in a while. It's kind of a cool setup.
It is.
The modernized one-man band, or
For
one-woman band in this case. So you've been playing around town. You're actually really busy. You're hopefully planning a fall tour you talked about. Yeah,
so we're looking at some Wisconsin areas, possible dates in Wausau. I always say it wrong. I say Wausau. You can tell I'm from the south. Well, south to Wisconsin.
Sure.
But yeah, so we're looking at getting a little further out north and doing some things like that with the band. I've been up to La Crosse myself, but not with the band yet. So. Sure. Yeah.
Spreading it out though, that's pretty cool.
Right.
You have an EP, 5 songs. It's called Colors.
Yep.
It is fantastic. I've been listening to it.
Oh, thanks.
And then you've got a new solo or a new single coming out here soon.
Yeah, way different from what the EP sounds like.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So it's more acoustic driven, which it's kind of, I don't know. Sometimes I go back and forth on like, you know, as an artist, like, do you stick with one kind of sound? Do you do whatever comes to you kind of thing? And I've always appreciated artists that do their own thing and do all different kind of styles, whatever kind of inspires them. And so that song is, my drummer calls it like the train song, because it's just a very like 4 on the floor kind of sound. And I'm doing some finger picking stuff, but it's not like super complex. And but the star of the show, obviously vocals is, for pop music, is kind of the star, but we also had a violinist and a cellist come in, and that was really like took it to a whole new level.
Who'd you have come in?
I don't remember their names. I'm sorry, but they're from northern Iowa. So we went up to Catamount Studio and recorded there. Sure. So it was just some people that the producer brought in, and
some studio musicians.
Yeah, they were awesome. They were so good. I'm like, I will tag them. I have it written down.
Cool. So new single coming out. It's called Johnny. And you've got Colors, and you had a single before that too.
Yeah, Thinking of You was my first one that came out.
That's correct.
Yep.
Couldn't remember the name of it, but that one's awesome also. What's your website? It's BrittanySword.com, correct?
Yep, that's it.
And then you're streaming all over YouTube, Spotify, Bandcamp?
Yeah, everywhere.
Pretty much all of the streaming platforms. Do you have like a social media website, like a Facebook page just for
Facebook,
your music?
Instagram, TikTok, all of that stuff is Brittany Sword Music. So if you don't have the music at the end, you'll come up with all kinds of Brittany Swords. I didn't realize there was that many of us.
So in your bio, it mentions that you used to be in a band with your husband, and that there were some health complications that sort of led to you going solo. Can we talk about what exactly happened there?
Yeah, so we were in a duo called the Stress Vine, and I played keys for that, and he played guitar. But sometimes we'd, swap instruments around. We'd get the cajon out, and I'd play guitar, and different things like that. But yeah, so we had a great time doing that. But so we had shows lined up. But this was 2019, and my husband Corey has always struggled with migraines, and they got to such a terrible point that he was getting to a point where we're canceling shows, and he's like, I don't want that reputation, and he basically told me, he's like, keep going, do your thing. So I went on and had a terrible stage name that I didn't like, and so I ended up changing it. But yeah, so I was like, well, we got these dates, and somebody's got to play them, so I guess I'll jump on and do that. And so it's kind of out of necessity, more than anything, going solo.
What can I ask what the stage name was?
It was Brittany, which it doesn't sound terrible, but it was a nickname that my dad would call me, and it was just Brittany, like T-T-I-E, yeah, okay. Like gritty Brittany, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, my dad would call me that, and I'm like, it was so weird hearing it from other people. I'm like, no, that's my dad's nickname for me. Like.
And so is Brittany Sword your real last name?
Yes, yes, it was, and now it's Bedford. So. Oh, sure. Yeah, Excellent. The married name.
Right, of course. And so, I mean, like I said, you're playing all around town. You're putting out a new single. Can we do a quick rig rundown? You've got normally you direct out. We're going to be playing today out of this Fender Rumble 25, but just looking at your board here, we've got quite a bit going on.
Yeah, and I keep changing some things out. I don't really use the blues driver that much unless I'm with the band, because it's a little overkill for solo stuff.
Right.
But yeah, the Polytune, pretty standard, kind of deal. But what I love is that no one has to hear the ancient tuning song. You just like mute it.
It's a good kill switch, yeah.
For sure. And then I've got the Octave 5. That's my new pedal from Boss. And I don't use it the whole time, but just when I need that little extra oomph, especially when I add the drums in, it's kind of like missing the bass, so I try to add that in. Or sometimes I can use this to just have like both the guitar and the bass, or I can switch it so there's no direct line and just do a bass kind of deal.
Do you usually run it through the distortion?
Yeah, it's all running together. I have a splitter at home, but I just haven't added it yet. It does got to have like a wall of pedals that I'm just constantly changing in and out. But I need to split it so that I can kind of have more control over, how the bass sounds. Because right now I'm like, it's all kind of squished together, and I'm trying to figure out how to make it sit a little bit nicer in there. But yeah, it all runs in together. So we've got the octave going through. I believe it runs through my Ibanez, and then from there it'll go to the
Spark.
Yeah, the Spark. So that's just a boost. It's true bypass, and then that runs into my JHS Morning Glory. And I did that because like sometimes I just want to push that pedal a little bit more, and so having the boost before it kind of helps. This is a switch I made to toggle that light on and off. So just a gain switch.
Okay. Add a little more gain to your clone.
Right, yep.
And then into the
Hall of Fame too, which is, I like this too because I can press that down and add kind of a shimmery pad to it, which I use on a couple songs. And then from there, that'll go into my loop station. I guess
RC1.
I guess I kind of flipped that around. This goes into the boost driver and then back through. But yeah, and then my RC1, loop station. That is been a tried and true loop station.
Those things are fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I've never owned one. I have a Ditto at home that I use, and then I've got a Grand Canyon which has a looper built into it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's also got that shimmer tone, but it's on delay, so it doesn't happen in the reverb like as you would expect. You hit it, and then when it echoes, it adds the shimmer on top of that, which is pretty cool. That's an awesome rig, and then you just go direct out from there into your PA system.
Right, yeah, that way I don't have to haul around an amp.
Yeah, no, and more and more people are doing that lately, and just getting rid of as much physical stuff as you can, actually.
Right, yeah, because I mean, even just hauling it in my car, I'm like, if I add any more things, I have to get a trailer. I'm kind of at that point.
Yeah. We've covered the rig. We've covered your EP and your new single. you aren't having a new album come out, is what you said. You're not working on a whole album yet. Are you writing songs for a new album potentially?
Yeah, I've got about probably 10 or 15 that are kind of in that demo stage.
Okay.
I've been listening to them the last couple weeks, and my drummer and I have been talking more about, band stuff, because the stuff that's coming out that I've been writing lately is like, I can almost distinctly tell them apart. Like, this is definitely for a heavier type sound, and then these songs are more that singer-songwriter kind of indie thing.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll see kind of where it goes. But I would love to do an album. I love it when bands do albums, but I was advised to do EPs instead. So we'll see what happens.
EPs are great, and we've talked off camera. People are buying less and less physical copies of albums anyway. We had Sarah Routh here, and she mentioned that her latest album was never in a physical copy, full album, and she never had any physical copies because people would rather buy shirts and hats and bumper stickers and stuff like that. Anything but the music itself.
Yeah.
But having listened to some of your music, you do some covers too. So, if I go out and see Brittany Sword, what can I expect?
I play like The Weeknd, Maren Morris, Alanis Morissette. I kind of play a little bit of everything. I do like Jolene is on there,
Sure. A little bit of country,
so
a little bit of pop.
yeah. I'm not a huge country person, and it's kind of funny when I play country, it doesn't really sound country anymore, but I try. But yeah, so I do a little bit of everything, a lot of top 40 stuff, but then I'll do like, Cage the Elephant and
Ooh, nice.
just different things that are kind of, the stuff that I like is more that underground type indie.
The alternative.
Yeah, the
type,
alternative.
Modern alternative.
Right, yeah. So I try to pepper that stuff in there, but then also songs that people can sing along to, so
Sure.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Would you stick around and do a song for us?
Oh, heck yeah.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
Be sure to check out BrittanySword.com and follow her on her socials, and thank you for being here. Brittany Sword, everybody.
Thank you. In plain sight, you lost your mind. It happens every time. You stop and close your eyes. I know you can't let go. I know you lose control. In black and white, with red between the lines, both together blind. The ink is running dry. I know you can't let go. I know you lose control. No green left on either side. All I see is the green in your eyes. Fade to gray, we remain the same. I know you can't let go. I know you lose control. Staring at these empty spaces, wondering when my life will feel complete Will I feel complete if I had everything? Forget about motivation. I wanna feel the sensation of being larger than I am. How much more? How much more? I know I can be every color what you wanna see. It doesn't matter to me as long as I get what I need. And you say less there's a drug, well hand it over baby, I can get enough. I'm never satisfied, you're never satisfied. How much more? How much more? How much more? How much more? How much more?
Well, thank you for tuning into the Guitar Department. I've been your host, Joe Alton. I want to thank Brittany Sword for being here. Brittany,
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's been awesome.
Be sure to check out BrittanySword.com and follow her all over the tri-state area. She's playing all over the Midwest. Be on the lookout for Johnny, the new single coming out. And I also want to thank Riemann Music for offering up the Rumble 20 and the Log Jam that we played a little bit earlier. And I want to thank Aiden, our camera operator, and Jackson, our producer. And be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Guitar Department or on Instagram at guitar_department. And with that, you ready to play us out?
Oh, I'm ready.
Awesome.